Merry Christmas, everyone. This is Griever back here, bringing you guys a 7 Deadly Sins discussion type video over the holidays. Do you like my shirt? Yes, it's about 7 Deadly Sins, but let's highlight the Serenity. Let's highlight Firefly in this video. That being said, everyone, I hope your holidays are being good to you and such. I know it's a busy time of year, but I want to talk about, in the 7 Deadly Sins video, I want to talk about the concept of a 5th archangel, or a supreme angel, a chief angel, a archon angel. I want to talk about that because in one of my reviews, I forget which one, to be honest with you, but when we got the reveal of Chandler and Cusack up until this point, and then of course I made that video about once they fused together into a very Lucifer type being, from the backstory and everything. Once again, I made a video about this. Go and watch that if you're curious. But the fact of the matter is, let's just go from the story perspective. There are 10 commandments. There are 4 archangels. There was a balance in the Holy War. And relatively, all of the archangels and all of the 10 commandments were the same at the time. Roughly, with a couple exceptions, but roughly, by the time the end of the Holy War, most of these numbers and characters matched up, and it was said to be a balance. Then we got the introduction of Chandler and Cusack, 2 beings that surpassed the might of the 10 Commandments on their own, and fused together have an impossible level of strength that we have yet to see in the series as of yet. But we can suffice to say to know it's likely not an additive number. I doubt you could take the 168, I believe, or 169 and the 172, whatever it was, the power level numbers, and add them together and say, okay, this new demon is 350. No, this thing's probably 500,000 plus. This new original demon, the Sinner, is a monumental thing in the series and is awesome. The thing that I question is, so at the time, what was the supreme deity doing? That deity, what was she doing? And where were the archangels? I mean, youthful appearance is one thing. We've seen this with fairies living hundreds of years, and we see this with a lot of characters and such. So age is no description. But do you honestly, are you looking at me and believing that male, who we saw in a very younger form where Elizabeth and everyone was already grown, that Elizabeth and male is the 4th archangel, who was in his position while he was a child? And then you have to look at Sariel, who does not have a very, once again, Gloxinia, looking very youthful, the oldest commandment at, I believe it's something like 1200 or 1400 years old. Nonetheless, there are beings far older, such as Chandler and Cusack, original commandments, people beyond, people before the demon realm was, before the demon king was demon king. For all we know, he was called Beelzebub, Satan, Lucifer, many other, Leviathan, many other names given to the devil. He could have been one of these people, and then he fought against the other princes of hell, which would be very sticking to the motif that 7 Deadly Sins goes under, very biblical, at like Dante's Divine Comedy sort of level, and molds it into their own story. So, with that being said, when he created this herald for himself, I have to question who was the champion at that time. Rudesiel looks like a relatively middle to young aged man, and so does the rest of them. None of them are old like Cusack and Chandler. And we have seen that demons and angels, from my perspective, there must be another angel. Perhaps they are long gone, perhaps they died, perhaps they aren't awakened yet. It's hard to say. Maybe they died in the war. It's impossible to say, but I believe that there was definitely, if not an angel above the 4, that the hierarchy stands as supreme deity and the 4, and then underneath. There was archangels before the 4 we know, however, similar to Chandler and Cusack. They were a herald of power before the Ten Commandments were formed, from what I can read, from what I understand of the descriptions given about the sinner demon, of the original demon, is that before there was 10 Commandments, there was this embodiment of power gifted by the Demon King to herald his war and battles. So, given that concept, I would just bring up the point that there must have been something else. Something on the other side of the coin. If we look at the Demon King and the Supreme Deity as two sides of the same coin, which is potentially what they are, basically the yin and yang, the negative and the positive, the chaos and the balance of the God and the devil, a similar concept. If that's the case, then I would believe that if not something in between the angels and the Supreme, then who was before? Who's the original angel? Who's the one who has the same backstory, or similar, the same upbringing, the same, this was my champion, the champion. Who was their Spartacus? Who was their Wayne Gretzky? And honestly, if it will never be named, because the original demon, the sinner, we have no name for this character. So suffice it to say, this is clearly based on Lucifer. I would say, where's our champion of light, Michael? If you look at the Bible and you look at a lot of stuff, and once again, guys, this has not been heavily researched because there's not a whole lot to go on, but I can give you a summarization. Michael is the other brother, the other elder brother of the archangels. When you count Lucifer and Michael, in some tellings, Michael's older and Lucifer's the younger. In some, they're twins. In some, Lucifer's older and Michael's younger. Nonetheless, these are the two top angels, the two most powerful archangels in the mythologies. That has been undisputed across multiple fandoms, TV shows, comics, manga, movies, everything. That this has been the understanding, that there's a lot of people. There's Gabriel and Raphael and Uriel and and Abaddon is sometimes around there. There's a bunch of different angels, but these two are always top, and they're the ones. Michael led his force in heaven, 2/3 of heaven's host, against Lucifer and his other third when Lucifer rebelled. He is the shining light. He's the one who can go toe-to-toe with his brother of absolute power, second only to God. He's the only one who stands in the way of the Lightbringer. In this way, I am curious as to who is the Michael. It cannot be Rudesiel. From what we have seen, his power is lacking too far. He is struggling, if not being defeated, by his betters. Both Chandler, Cusack, and Zeldris could all defeat Rudesiel, or give him a hard time. At the very least, a hard diff battle. And we've seen that both Merlin and Escanor, though semi-broken between them, have the potential to go toe-to-toe with this guy. Now you could make the argument that he is in a vessel and the like, but if he was so strong, it just doesn't make sense. Merlin brings up the fact that Chandler and Cusack were not even seen very much during the Holy War. The reason was the demons would have won, and once again, we do not have enough information. But this is a discussion video, ladies and gentlemen. This is a theory video, and I just want to bring this to light, pun not intended, to think about it. If there's this herald of fusion justice, this Lucifer original demon, fused by two demons who are more powerful than any of the other demons, any of the other 10 Commandments we have seen, why would there not be something? As always, the statement has always been, it's been quality over quantity with the archangels and the 10 Commandments. The 4 can match the 10. So who was matching the original demon? If that's the balance, if that's the stroke, we need to remember that there must have been somebody before Rudesiel, or someone higher than Rudesiel and not the Supreme. We need to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I give my thoughts that it's a character very reminiscent of Michael. And I'd even go out on a limb and say the statement I made previously about the yin-yang concept, two sides of the same coin between the Demon King and Supreme Deity, may perhaps lead to some other revelations. Something that perhaps the goddesses and demons are much more closely linked than we previously believed. They might not be opposite ends of a spectrum, but rather two sides of the same coin with only that sliver in between. They could, for all intents and purposes, call them cousins. For all we know, this could be the potential. And the original demon and the, shall I dub him, the original angel, could very well be linked as a familiar bond. Once again, we have no evidence, as far as I can find, in the manga, but I believe it stands to reason. There should be no other reason as to why the demons, by the looks of their power current standing, would not have won in the Holy War. There is no reason for a balance. Mal and Meliodas aside, with the exchange of power, Chandler and Cusack were never brought up. The original demon was never brought up. And yet this powerhouse of absolute strength, this pillar, is an obvious advantage. So I question, where were they, and where was the Supreme Deity's trump card? Where was their champion? That being said, everyone, I said this would be a relatively short video, and it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Once again, everyone have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year's, whatever you celebrate, yada, yada, yada. Just wishing you all well, and we'll see you back here next time. This has been Griever with a 7 Deadly Sins discussion type video. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Always appreciate it, and we'll talk to you in the new year. See you next time, everyone.